Pause for a second and step into the reality with me. I want you to close your eyes and imagine this. Imagine the mountains and valleys of Uttarakhand. The torrential rain has not stopped from 3 days. Suddenly, a knock at your door. The officers hands you notice, evacuate immediately, flood warning. You look at the walls of your homes, the walls that have carried your childhood, your wedding, your memories, and you realize that in seconds, it might all be gone. Come with me to Maharashtra. A farmer is walking on the cracked field that once grew the golden crops. It's now a barren battlefield. His wells are dry, his kettle is dead. He sold his wife's jewelry just to buy water, but now that hope is gone. He looks at the sky and mutters a prayer, not for a better life, not for money, of course, but for few drops of water. In this Marathawad region of Maharashtra, several farmers have taken their lives due to this drought. What you have seen the cases of Uttarakhand, Maharashtra, what Punjab is dealing with right now, these all are scars of changing climate. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kalyani Shukla, and I, from this platform, invite you all to come with me as we uncover what lies beneath the true cost of climate change, the impact on our economy, on our health, and of course, on our survival. Let's uncover it layer by layer. First comes the economy. When a farmer is selling his wife's jewelry just to buy water, this is not just his personal loss. This is a national loss. Every economy stands on 3 major pillars, namely the agriculture, industries, and services. Let's decode it. If I talk about the word agriculture, in India, India breeds agriculture. Every 1 out of 4 individuals depends on it. Yet when rain doesn't fall, the farmer do not lose only just one crop, they lose the entire season. And when one season is lost, the entire supply chain breaks, the entire economy collapses. Take the example of Maharashtra. Recently, the flood came, the drought came, and then the onion prices skyrocketed to 300%. Industries are not left untouched as well. If I talk about Bangladesh, every year it sees around a loss of $6 billion due to the reduction in workers' productivity. In construction industry, every 1 degree temperature rise above 20 degrees Celsius leads to the reduction in workers' productivity due to this all global warming. And if I talk about the services, last but not the least, last year due to the floods in Krishna River, Bhavani Islands had to shut. And UNESCO has warned that same is going to happen with the UNESCO site Venice. Tourism spots are shut, healthcare are flooded with many patients and whatnot. So this was the whole economy part. Let's jump. What is the true cost on health? When Earth gets the fever, the whole humanity feels the heat. Last year, Delhi's highest recorded temperature went to 53 degrees Celsius. Roads were melting, farmers collapsing, and hospitals were flooded with many patients. Now, when India hosting 7 of the world's 10 most polluted cities, every breath feels like smoking a cigarette. WHO has warned that India and world can see 250,000 additional deaths cases that leads to 684 cases a day, ladies and gentlemen. And now the final cost, what is on our survival? The question is no longer about your money, your health or career in some coming few years, but it is about whether we are going to make it to tomorrow or not. Entire nations are disappearing from this world's map, not because of any war, but underwater. Maldives, Tuvalu and parts of Bangladesh, they are already sinking. And what are we doing to do this? WHO has said that 1.2 billion, again I quote, 1.2 billion people could become climate refugees in coming years. Tell me, where will they go? Who will take them? Tomorrow, if your city becomes unlivable, where will you go? And suppose if the borders are closed, what's happened next? But here is the irony, ladies and gentlemen. Those who emit very less are paying the most price. And let's be very brutally honest, 10 developed nations are accounting to 68% of the world's global emission. This is what I call climate inequality trap. When there are floods in Bangladesh or cyclones are hitting Orissa, who suffers? Not the people sitting in the boardrooms of Wall Street, but the people living in South Asia. Climate inequality trap. Poorest are footing the bill for the richest. Take a farmer in Vidarbha, or let's take the farmers in Punjab. They uses the less carbon in an entire year than your phone charger does in a month. Yet when floods are hitting, they are the first one to lose their livelihood. Or the family living in the tiny island in Sundarbans, they do not own any cars, they do not fly on any planes, but rising sea levels are taking their homes at first. Can we skip to the good part? There are some steps. What's done is done. We can't change our past, but the future is in our hands. We can definitely write it, and we have the pen. What can we do? Some steps. But there are some actions we have to take, and the actions has already been taken by some parts of India, and let's praise them. Farmers in Rajasthan are adopting the age-old methods of water harvesting and water saving. If I talk about the women in Orissa, they're growing the mangroves forest, so as when next cyclone hits, they have green walls to protect them. Now, I talk about the people, tourism in Sikkim. They drink water from bamboo bottles instead of using any plastic bottles. We can change and we can adopt some similar steps. Let's learn it about in 3 layers. First comes your daily footprints, the short-term effects. Next are collective voices, and then the long-term effects. If I talk about our daily footprints, there are some small steps. Say no to plastic, say no to fast fashion, walk when you can, switch off when you can, and embrace the 3 R's. Comes our collective voice. Take the sustainable decisions, buy from local buyers, take sustainable decisions, and speak when you can, stand when you must. Now comes the long-term decisions. SDG 13. Sustainable development goals are not just the UN agendas, they are the daily habits, and we have to inculcate it in our lives. SDG 13 says climate action, but I say make it everyday action. At last, I would like to conclude it by saying that as when you leave this room, leave it as climate warriors, because this world do not need any more climate spectators. And if you think one voice doesn't matter, think again. Take Wangari Maathai, take Greta Thunberg, they became the global voices. We are the change maker of this world, and we have to change this world. Thank you so much, guys.